Fallout's biggest mod ever, what is large in part shaping up to be a new game-sized experience that with Fallout the Frontier just got a big new announcement. And in this video, I want to update you on the mod's current progress, what was newly announced around it, why that is huge and actually may have an impact on getting several of you to play this for yourself, but even further just get you up to date on the mod overall, as well as several other upcoming mods that just recently got substantial updates. If you guys enjoy the content or just want to keep up to date with Fallout in general, or even more specifically Fallout the Frontier, you can get subscribed. But firstly, if you're not familiar with the Frontier, I made a video about it a couple months back. I was kind of shocked it wasn't getting more attention or coverage. This is a New Vegas based mod that has been in the works for years. You can find some of the images and videos of this one posted back at the first half of this decade. And although I know there's this mentality, especially with the Fallout overhaul or DLC sized mod projects, to cautiously follow them or just write them off because they'll probably never come out, the Frontier is different because the Frontier is done. It's not currently released because they're still polishing it, bug fixing it, refining some of those features, finalizing voice lines, but this mod has already gotten further than 90% of the other attempts. And even further, they do describe how a 2020 release is planned. The Frontier is a mod for Fallout New Vegas, and although that can turn people off, it is also kind of like a New Vegas Plus in many ways. And that's to say, this really builds a top Fallout New Vegas in a wide variety of ways. It's set in Portland, Oregon before the Battle of Hoover Dam that you do in Fallout New Vegas, but of course the major difference is the Frontier is during a nuclear winter. There are visual impacts, new weather types, but also gameplay elements to this. The climate plays a role in your overall experience, predominantly through something known as a chill factor, which is somewhat similar to Skyrim's Frostfall. You'll have to look for heat sources, you'll have to worry about the temperature and perhaps even the weather. As far as which factions will be in this, we know the NCR, Legion, and Crusaders are the three major factions making an appearance with this one. Of course, you know the NCR and the Legion. The Crusaders were set up by a former Brotherhood of Steel member, and they have some religious undertones, but handled in a good way. And one of the important parts of these three factions is each of the three have distinct quest lines. There's going to be a point where you have to choose to side with one of them, but the gameplay style you have, whether it be with the NCR, Legion, or Crusaders, will be different from the others. You're not only doing different quests, but the overall feeling of those quests is different. Although right now we don't know much of what that entails because they've kept the story of this one very secretive. But even further, one of the other big things around this mod are vehicles will be a big component, both player and NPC controlled vehicles. And these seem pretty well fleshed out. You'll be able to fly them, drive them, and there's going to be quite a wide variety, and several will be customizable and moddable. And there'll be quite a few cool things like dynamic damage systems. The major new news around the Frontier is that it is getting a Steam release, which is actually pretty huge. I'm going to go out on a whim and say most of you watching this video don't currently or actively play Fallout New Vegas modded. The older Fallouts 3 and New Vegas are just in general a bit harder to mod than Skyrim and Fallout 4. Not impossible, and New Vegas in particular isn't that bad, but there's a lot of people that probably just don't want to deal with the headache, the stutters, or fixing some of those problems with the appropriate mods. And this is where the Steam release will come in handy and why it might just get you to actually play this mod. How this will work is, if you own and have installed Fallout New Vegas on Steam, you will then very easily and simply be able to download the Frontier on Steam, and it'll automatically install on your game and start working. So all of the required patches, whether it be the 4GB patch, XNVSE, as well as all the NVSE plugins, will just be added to your game without you having to do anything outside of click download. I saw a lot of people worried the Steam release either meant A, this was going standalone, or B, it would have a cost associated with it, but no, this is still going to be a free mod for Fallout New Vegas. You won't be paying money, it's not going to be a standalone game now, it's just a simpler method to download and install a free mod, because it's really downloading and installing several things, not just the mod itself, but also all the other requirements. All you need to do is download New Vegas, which you probably can handle. That part's pretty easy. And even further, for those people that don't even want to bother with New Vegas at all, both the Steam version as well as the Nexus version will contain a quick start. So it'll give you a few levels so you don't have to play any of New Vegas. I know though, that's one of the big pieces of news around this one. They also have been posting bi-weekly developer updates that reveal a lot about how this mod is, one, going to be a true improvement over vanilla Fallout New Vegas, but two, just how far along they've come, how good some of the components are. A major focus right now, again, is polish and voice acting. But even when it comes to voice acting, they're actually on the final stages. They're still recruiting, so I will have links down below around that, but all of the major characters have been fully voiced at this point. So it's really on to just some of those secondary characters. And even further, through their development logs, they've actually posted several samples of voice work being implemented in-game.
Elder Davis was hung up on this ancient cyborg brain monster. He was just 5 then, but grew up with the repercussions of the war against it.
Oh? What do you have to say about them? That would depend on the educator. Education is a deadlier weapon than a nuke in the right hands. Perhaps the NCR is teaching them to be righteous. Perhaps they are teaching them to hate all those unlike them. Teaching the art of war, but not the reason to wage it.
Now, mods and voice acting have always had this complicated relationship. It's sometimes just hard to find a wide variety of good voice actors, especially when you want those people to do work for free. But at least based on those two samples, I think it's pretty top tier. And when it comes to mods, for me at least, as long as the voice acting isn't so bad that it takes me out of the game, I'm happy with something that's good enough most of the time. And those two examples definitely exceed that for me. In general, one of the goals with this polishing stage is to try and get some aspects of this older New Vegas engine to be more in line with the newer Fallout 4 and Skyrim engine. A couple of the things they give examples of are some of the weapon customization options. It'll be more in depth than what we had in New Vegas to begin with. Even further, the fire effects and some of the destruction mechanics have had huge upgrades compared to vanilla Fallout New Vegas. We've gotten a glimpse of this as you're seeing in the background, but they really describe how as you're playing this mod, there'll be larger scenes with these fire effects. And it seems like some of the special effects overall will have a larger role with this one, but they don't want to share that just yet because it will be spoilery. The mod will feature a radio station where it'll actually give you kind of updates or comment on some of the progress you're making as you play through this. Even further, they have finalized how you can now continue the story of Fallout New Vegas after you beat the Frontier. So in the current build, that is a fully functional feature, and even though overall all of this sounds great, you can see pretty clearly that this mod project is doing things unique, things even Bethesda hasn't attempted with some of their games. But I'm sure there'll be some fears that this comes at a cost to performance, but that too is something they're really focusing on during this polish phase. And even just recently, they posted a performance test video where you could clearly see the FPS as they walk through more of the dense areas. And that FPS is staying consistent. Frankly, I almost at times get worse FPS in New Vegas on my machine, which is better. Granted, that is a modded New Vegas. And overall, it's really looking like this is going to be a major addition to the Fallout modding scene. One of the big things that's unique about the Frontier is, even though there's a lot of mods trying to do different things, this, in a way, is almost doing all of it. There are many mods trying to add new quests or story experiences, many weapon mods or even weapon packs, and even some that add in new and unique features, but the Frontier is doing all of that. Very few mods in one singular package have this much content that is available all for free. But if you guys do want to support the team, I will have a link to their Patreon down below, as well as all of the other social media links. It definitely is a great place to keep up to date with this one, and it certainly seems like we are getting to the final stretch, where release could just be months away. Well, definitely is months away because we know it's coming in 2020. Although one very interesting development around Fallout New Vegas that you may have heard me mention a little bit earlier in this video is XNVSE. NVSE is the New Vegas script extender. If you've modded any of the Bethesda games on PC, you probably know about these script extenders, and just to put it simply, it's really what allows some of those mods on PC to be more advanced than some of the console versions, adding in a subset of additional tools and things mod authors can use to further customize the game with mods. NVSE is a unique one in that New Vegas came out just before Skyrim. It was actually only a year between the two games' releases. Skyrim is the most modded Bethesda game, even still. So as a result, NVSE didn't really get a chance to get its proper legs out as many switched over to Skyrim and Skyrim's script extender. It of course had initial updates as well as its last update coming back in 2017, but now there actually is a new team working on New Vegas script extender that known as XNVSE. The original devs have approved of this, and more or less what they're working to do is iron out some of those lingering bugs as well as actually just make it a lot easier order to make mods for New Vegas. So it'll be a less buggy experience. If you are a new mod author or even an experienced one, you should have a lot easier of a time implementing things. And finally, one of their longer term goals is to actually add additional functionality. So in the future, if you are creating a New Vegas script extender plugin, there would be more you can do. Right now, this is still in its early phases. The announcement only came a couple of weeks ago, but this is one of those programs that will probably just get wide-scale adoption. In the future, you'll be using XNVSE while modding New Vegas, including with the Frontier. That is what will be included with that download if you download it via Steam. Although with all of this, we probably should talk about the New Vegas remake mod that with Fallout 4 New Vegas. Just recently, they shared some images of the BAR that is coming with that larger mod. We get a few versions of the base version as it largely appeared in New Vegas, specifically its DLC, but also some versions taking greater advantage of the Fallout 4 weapon modification system. And it looks really cool. I know some people might take issue with the historical accuracy of this one, but I really like it. Some of my favorite Fallout weapon mods are actually nostalgic ones that are not only Fallout weapons, but also just historical weapons, and this of course is an iconic one, so I'm definitely excited to get my hands on it again. Some of the Fallout 4 New Vegas project mods have actually been just my favorite overall Fallout 4 mods. Either way though, that's gonna pretty much wrap it up for this one. If you are watching this as this goes live, I should have a very special Fallout 4 mod video coming out tomorrow, barring any unforeseen circumstances. But otherwise, it's gonna be a big week in gaming news, an Inside the Vault article, likely a bit of a beefier one, and Night City Wire to look forward to. As always, again, I thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope to see you all next time. Later.